Hey guys, so today's video is a bit of a different one. I had to do a lot of research for this one, and honestly it just kind of made me spiral into doom. So that's great. And also I got laid off, so hopefully more videos, I guess. But since I actually did get laid off, I was able to spend a lot more time on this, so I'm gonna try and keep this video to be as short as possible, but I have collected a lot of resources if you want to look into it, and I'll have those in the description below. Yeah, so today's video we're going to be talking about, you know, current climate of the world versus Fallout, and also how they intermesh and some of the scary things that seem to be happening, you know? So, the first thing, we're gonna kind of break this down into multiple different sections of this video. So we're gonna talk about the US economy, because Fallout is based in the US, so we're gonna be focusing on that. I am also living in the US, but eventually I will move back to Canada. When I move, not back to Canada, my dad was from Canada. I might move to Canada, and then when I'm up there, I might do a video on, what little we know about Canada in Fallout, and then I feel like it might be interesting to make a video of my predictions / what I think Fallout post-war Canada would be like. I might make a video like that. If people are interested, let me know, because that might be fun. But yeah, we're gonna break it down by the economy of the US currently, Fallout's economy before the war. Then we're gonna do current world events, which is global. And then we're gonna do Fallout wars / world events. Then we're gonna do the social climate of the current world, and also Fallout's social climate. And yeah, I'm gonna flip over to the economy, because that's obviously great, especially just the recession we're going into, and you know, me already getting laid off, and we're not even fully in the recession yet. Cries. Anyways, so for what I did, I've noticed a lot of other people also do this, and it's talking about things that you could find on different posters, and also some of the items you can find that have prices on it from pre-war. So I'm going to be comparing and contrasting a little bit of things like that. But first off, with the US economy, we're just going to say, mind you, I suck at math, and I don't know if I did some of this correctly, and trying to figure out exactly where to go to find the proper percentages and stuff was hard, so some of this might be incorrect. Ow, my arm just cracked. But this is correct to the best of my knowledge. So if you are better versed in economy, please help correct me a little bit, okay? So, the cumulative US inflation rates from 1975 to 2025, which is around, I think, 50 years, I believe. No, that doesn't sound right. I don't know. That's some amount of years. Again, is around 650% raise. So, that's great. So, $1 in 1975 is equal to $6.50 in our current time, and with it's probably going to, ours is going to, raise more due to tariffs and stuff like that, so, we'll see how that works for all of us. But, yeah, that just kind of gives us a little background onto US's inflation rates for the same kind of time span of like the Fallout economy before the bombs, because so they're in 2077, right? Yeah, they're in 2077 and we're in 2025, so that is the same span between 1975 and 2025, I believe. It should be. It's been a minute since I did the economy one, so like I'm not remembering exactly everything, and I wrote very little notes to try and keep things brief, so I apologize. Anyways, now we're gonna kind of go back and forth a little bit with what we can find in game and currently with everything going on with our economy. So in Fallout Before the Bombs, we could see that a cup of coffee is $15, okay? So now when we go to, the US economy, there's a 10% tariff on all coffee imports, leading to a cup of black coffee being $8 to $12 by the end of the year. That is what's being predicted, and that might even go up due to, labor costs. Oh, I'm not in focus. Hello. Fucking camera. I need to get a better web camera. I guess we're just gonna be blurry. Okay. But yeah, with the 10% tariffs on coffee imports from, ever in the world that has coffee beans and shit like that being grown, that will lead coffee to being $8 to $12 for a cup. That's probably also gonna be more with if you're buying it from like a diner, anything like that. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. And mind you, that's not like Starbucks coffee either, which no one really should be buying from Starbucks. They're very bad company. That's besides the point. Okay, so that's already kind of like only a few dollars off from where Fallout is, so that's a little, Okay, now we're gonna go to US. Comic books can go from $5.99, which, in the 90s and before that, they were like a few cents, so that's already a little And then I'm also adding graphic novels here because that's, I think, where we're going to get a better kind of comparison, which is $15 to $30. In Fallout, a comic book is $29. So, a single comic book in Fallout, which is thin, is basically equal to a graphic novel in our timeline right now. Horrible. This will also probably change when printing prices go up due to outsourcing those things and all of that chaos. Okay. Now, when we go here, a dozen of donuts is like $18 around me. Also, I'm in California, so like that's why if you're like, whoa, these prices are high. Prices all around the country are going to go up, but in California they're already kind of high, so that's if you're already like, where the fuck you live? I'm in California. So a dozen donut is $18 here. You can get them cheaper from like mom and pop shops, but from chain stores like Dunkin' and Krispy Kreme and all those chain stores, they're around like $15 to $18. Okay, so then over here, donut and coffee combo is $30 to $37. So a cup of coffee is $15, and adding a donut makes it $30 to $37. That's an expensive donut, especially when you can get a dozen for $18. It's kind of crazy. Okay. Then we got coolant. Coolant nowadays is $20 to $30 depending on branding, what type of car you have, and how much you need. And in the Fallout universe, it's $113.99. That 99 cents is important. Okay. Then we have a bowling ticket. Around here, it's $19. In the Fallout universe, it's $5,000. What? I'm assuming it's because of all the robots that like work there and automations and shit like that in the Fallout universe, but also when, you know, corporations are on the rise and kind of take over the government and shit like that, they have no real regulation because they pay all of our politicians. They can get away with a lot of things. So things that are, you know, fun and not involving work tend to go up in price because they're non-essential. So you can charge more. Is it fair? No. Do I think fun is essential? Yes. But I'm not a politician. I'm not a politician. Okay. And then we have a stack of cash, which you might be like, how the fuck you gonna do that, you know? But basically what I'm doing is just, usually when you're counting cash and you're putting them into stacks, they're around 1,000 to 2,000 usually. If they're more than that, they're usually not as like common. But in Fallout, you see stacks of cash everywhere, you know? So I'm just saying, emergency funds, if you have a stack of cash, usually it's like $1,000 to $2,000. That's just what I could find on the internet. That's usually how people count it, $1,000 or $2,000 in a stack. That's all I'm saying. But in Fallout, we know that the inflation is super high, so a stack of cash is 10,000 each. We can see that at the Sierra Madre is one stack of cash is, I think, actually listed as 2,000, and then it equals one Sierra Madre trip. So that's how I deduce that shit. So then we're gonna go into casino chips, which you might be like, what the fuck? So the casino chip yellow is usually $1,000 in our world. Okay, one Sierra Madre chip is 10,000. And why I'm using yellow is because the Sierra Madre chips are gold, and that's like the closest thing, you know, that there is a translation to. So that's 10,000. So now we're going to go to what you can buy with the chips. So a stim pack is 5 chips, meaning 50,000, which is fucking crazy. And if we go over here, what's the closest thing to a stim pack in our world? I'm gonna say morphine. So I looked up how much morphine is, and it's 2,000 or higher depending on your insurance and all that bullshit. And also just what the hospital wants to charge you, let's be fucking honest. Yeah. That's fucking crazy. That's a crazy difference, and even just the 2,000 in our timeline is fucking crazy. But whatever. Okay. Then we have a gallon of gas. So around here it's like $5 to $8. Again, I'm in California, so that's a little higher than in other places, but that's also probably gonna go up for everyone in the country. So fuel prices in Fallout is highly debated. I think it's in Fallout Tactics? I think this is where it's from. I should have wrote that down, but fuel prices in Fallout Tactics, I believe, it says it's 8,000, but Fallout Tactics is kind of canon, kind of not. They pick and choose from that game. So, you know. But honestly, 8,000 probably does make sense due to the resource wars and also the fact that everyone moved to nuclear fission instead of, you know, gasoline, because that wasn't readily available anymore because excessive oil drilling and also just all those wars. So it's probably accurate. So now we're going to be talking about the current state of the world, which is very triggering for a lot of people. So if you don't want to hear about a lot of disturbing things that go on currently in the world, why you clicked on this video, honestly, but here we fucking go. So, current world events that we have, and then I'm going to go into the Fallout ones. Okay, so current genocides we have going on, which is a horrific statement to say. If I missay any of these words, names, places, and people, I apologize. I'm still tongue-tied. I can't pronounce words properly. I am trying my best. I'm like, I had to go to a class to speak properly and it did not help. Yeah, so we have Palestine, we have Sudan, we have Congo, we have the... Oh my god, I cannot say this one. It doesn't help that my writing's also atrocious, but it's Uyghurs. China's currently committing a genocide against their, I believe, Muslim population, and that is I'm going to say that horribly. Let me see if I can just get a pronunciation. I probably should have just had this set up before, but I kind of forgot that I had words that I didn't practice. Not a fucking ad, excuse me? Go away, AI ads. Oh my god.
Today, we're going to be looking at how it is said most commonly in English, how most English speakers pronounce it, and then how it is said interpret. In English it's said as Uyghur, okay? Now in British English, Uyghur, it's how it's generally pronounced, Uyghur or Uyghur in American English. Now in the local language, I've sort of written it down as close as you could write it down in phonetics or sort of phonetics, how you can pronounce it. Uyghur is how it is said.
Okay, so Uyghur. I still did not pronounce that properly, but Uyghur. So, and then we have Jesus Christ, I can't even say that one. Metanese, there's also Serbian genocide, the Kosovo genocide, Lebanon are all at risk of genocide, which is just fucking great. That's a lot of fucking people that are currently at risk of genocide. That's also not even talking about all of the shit that goes on in the US with our natives, and also in Canada with our natives, and also in Hawaii. There are so many people that are currently at risk of just so much bullshit. But yeah. Okay. We also just had India invading Pakistan. We have Russia that has been invading and fighting with Ukraine. We have the Sudanese civil war. We have the Myanmar civil war. We have the Yemen civil war. We have the Syrian civil war. The Assad regime did just fall in December, I believe, but they are still having a power struggle, so that is important to talk about. Okay, we have the Boko Haram insurgency. We have the Mali war. We have the Libyan civil war. We have the Cabanine war. We have the Afar Somali clashes. We have the Iraq War, which, mind you, the initial, invasions have stopped in 2011, but we still have people in Iraq, and just we're constantly fucking them up, so great. Okay, we have the Kurdish separation in Iran, we have the Iran-Sudan Arabian proxy conflict, we have the mass US deportation efforts, we have the mass revoking of US queer and women's rights, we have the dismantling of food and safety and education and medical boards and defunding, we have talks of taking over Canada, we have talks of arresting political figures that protest, we have talks of arresting political figures that protest with civilians. Sometimes I just remember all this shit and I'm like, mind you, this is not everything. That's just everything that would fit on the page. So that's great. Okay, so now we're going to Fallout Wars / world events. This is pre-bombs dropping. So we have the destruction of the Middle East and Europe leaving them as lesser states of power. Okay, so if we look at everything that's going on in our world with the Middle East, and then we look over here, that's a little interesting, isn't it? But I don't know. Okay, and then we have Mexico and Canada being annexed into the imperial domain of the US. What has been in talks? Annexing Canada? Interesting, isn't it? Okay, and then we have the US and China stand alone as the main superpowers of the war with their functioning economies. As we can tell, the US economy in Fallout wasn't doing great, now was it? It's a little weird, huh? Anyways, we have the US basically being ran by the elites and also corporations. I'm not gonna say anything, but you know. Anyways, we have racist wars lead to insane inflation. I'm not saying nothing. We have gasoline reserves depleting. I'm not saying nothing. We have energy crises. Okay, we have the social justice movement of our 1960s happening kind of in the 2050s to 2060s in Fallout. Then we have food riots and starvation in the US. Do I think this is probably gonna happen? Yeah, that's something I feel like it's gonna happen soon, like in the next 3 years, maybe less than that, but that's what I'm predicting. Will I be right? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not someone who studies this for like a living. There are smarter people out there, so look to them. Okay. Then we have military experimentation on animals and people. No, our government wouldn't do that. They've been doing it for years. For years. Whether they want to admit to or not. Anyways, we have rapid technological advancements like AI. This is for Fallout's timeline as well. What is currently every corporation trying to pump out? I'm not saying nothing though. Then we have social inequality, which... Anyways. We have pop culture turns into more propaganda. Who would have guessed? Looks at all of our TV shows, looks at Fallout's propaganda that they have. Would have never guessed. Never guessed, but that's So, now we're going into our current social climate, and then also Fallout's social climate, and Fallout's social climate is broken down by before the war and also after the war, so, you know. So, current social climate for us, we have the idea of the American dream having a resurgence. We have the idea that your issues with the country is caused by your neighbor and not your mayor. We have the rise of Zionism and white supremacy. Whether you want to admit it or not, that is, in fact, on a rise. The fact that I have seen white supremacists actually, like, full KKK fucking, like, garb on, marching down the streets is fucking insane. I'm in California. What the fuck? They're too ballsy. They need to be afraid again. Anyways, then we have the rise of sexism and transphobia again. We have the rise of homophobia as well. We have anti-Semitic rhetoric increasing. Yes, that includes memes. We have capitalism being praised and lifted up as an American ideal. We have corporations funding wars and government corruption, and we also have human experimentation still. You don't believe me? Just, there are so many things you can look into. So many things. Which is all fucking crazy. Honestly, when you take the time to look through some of the declassified fucking documents that the CIA actually just fucking releases sometimes, mind you, they're also still heavily redacted, but you're just like, they admitted to having fucking psychics. Wait, don't touch any of that, but... Okay. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I just look at the shit that the government actually fucking says and does, and I'm just like... What the fuck? Anyways... Fallout's social climate, okay? We have the rise of Asian hate, this is before the war. So they were blaming a lot of things on Asian Americans, which we could see happening in our timeline when we had the Japanese internment camps during World War II, and then kind of afterwards as well, but that was hush-hush. They stopped that immediately when the war was over. Whatever, though. They have anti-communism rhetoric everywhere. If you just, before the war, I think I saw in one of the videos that before the war, if you were convicted of being a communist, you could die, you could be executed for that in the US in Fallout before the war, so, I think that is in one of the games. I'm not sure, though. Because I've only played 4, and I'm gonna play 3 and Vegas soon, or after I finish my playthrough of 4, but, you know. So, then we have the idea of the American dream never dying down. So, just lots of nationalism and lots of propaganda just being pumped constantly. Fantastic. And we have capitalism being praised and lifted up as an American ideal. That sounds familiar. Then we also have extremely strong gender roles and human experimentation. Strange. So strange. Then we have after the war. Okay, we have sexism is prevalent but not entirely mainstream. We can see it by the companions, and well, I'm gonna say the companions in Fallout 4, besides like that one NPC chick, and the raiders that just constantly talk shit, and then you kill them, and then what are they gonna say? Nothing. I would say sexism is prevalent but not entirely mainstream, due to just no one really batting an eye if you are a woman leading them, besides a few NPCs here and there. But that's just in my opinion. Then we have homophobia is not very prevalent, besides in Caesar's, Legion, and also the Brotherhood of Steel. But I will say, in the Brotherhood of Steel, specifically in the Fallout TV show, there is a non-binary character in it, which is Aspirant Dan or Dane. They're non-binary and masc-leaning, but the Brotherhood of Steel in like the games, they are known to bar queer people because of needs for breeding and stuff like that, and procreation. So I don't know if they just confirm that they're fine with trans people as long as they still procreate, and they just bar homosexual people because they don't breed. But that also leads to the question, what about bi people in the Brotherhood of Steel? But that's... don't shoot me. That's just... we can also see throughout the games there's a lot of queer characters throughout, from like Fallout 2, I believe, all the way to current. There's quite a few queer characters, so that's up to your interpretation. I'm gonna say the bombs dropped and people were like, maybe gay people aren't the issue. But that's just me. Mom keeps cracking. But yeah, that's just my interpretation, you know? So then we have corporatism shapes the wasteland even after the economy falls. It literally, everything is just littered with corporate propaganda, posters, advertisements, everything like that. It literally shapes why the bombs dropped and everything like that, you know? Then we have the neighbor versus neighbor kind of mindset, which is prevalent throughout before the war and also in our current timeline. So we see that in after the war with the "there is synth" movement whenever people start acting weird. Or sometimes they is synth? Yeah. Oh, Seth is scrolling. But yeah. Just blaming people for being synths, and also the individual mindset instead of community mindset is always something that leads to a lot of issues in both our timeline and also in Fallout's timeline, and that's also why they have to rebuild the Minutemen in Fallout 4. So, and then they also still have human experimentation, which just seems to be a thing that we can't escape in any timeline, and I'm like, you'd think that would be just a harsh no, but it's not. So, now that we've gone through and compared everything, I think we've just kind of determined that the timelines are not too different, and it's a bit worrisome, you know, especially with the current climate of the world. I just hope that we don't actually have Fallout, because I don't want the bombs to drop and if we somehow survive to get fucking Deathclaws and Superhumans. We don't need racism and a Deathclaw. Anyways, if you like this video, leave a like. If you want more Fallout videos, let me know what you want to see. I do talk about other things, including cosplay and different franchises and stuff like that. I believe the video that just got posted, because I'm ahead of schedule, so I have a lot of things scheduled, but I think the last video that I have scheduled before this one is Vander having narrative similarities to Norse mythology's Loki. What are my credentials? I'm a Norse pagan, and I've watched Arcane like 6 times now. No, I'm on my 6th time, because I'm rewatching it with my sister because she's finally watching the 2nd season. But yeah, I'm kind of just really hyperfixating on Fallout, and I want to make more videos on Fallout. So yeah, let me know what you guys want to see, and I'll try and do it, especially since I'm now unemployed and going back to school, so I'll have a bit more time to do it. So yeah, if you like this video, leave a like, leave a comment on just what videos you'd like to see, or, you know, if I got anything wrong in this, specifically with like the Fallout world or like the numbers, let me know, because like I'm bad with numbers. I'm dyslexic and have dyscalculia. It should be hard. Anyways, yeah, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on the notification, and yeah, there will probably be more Fallout videos because I really like Fallout. I wasn't expecting to like Fallout as much as I did, but then the minute I started playing Fallout 4, I was just hooked, which was an interesting development, to say the least, because usually that's not the type of games I like, but apparently it is now. Anyways, bye guys.